place called the Comedy Store. So in November of '75, I started going to Hollywood and hanging out. I was 19. I wasn't even, I just turned 20 actually. I wasn't supposed to be in the place, but I dressed. Uh, I would put on my tennis hat, and I had an afro, okay, a big fro, and I would put my tennis hat on. I only weighed about 150 pounds, and I would go there kind of with my tennis hat and my nice shirt under my jacket with the big collar and pants. And John Witherspoon, the late great John Witherspoon, who was the doorman at the time, after like the third time I was there, he thought I was a narcotics agent, so he started letting me in for free. Yeah, he said to other comics, I don't know, that guy looked like a narc. I think he's a narc. So this was in the Serpico days. So anybody who was a skinny guy with a beard and a hat, you look like a narc. Okay. So I was hanging out, and I didn't see Richard until February. It took 2, 3 months before he came in. He would come in and sit in the back, and he wouldn't go on. This night he came in, he went on really late, and he did about 25 minutes. And again, it was mind blowing. And I had been literally became a student of stand up. Every night I watched some of the greatest stand ups I've ever seen. The Ace Trucking Company was there, who featured Fred Willard and Steve Bluestein, and they had there were groups that would go on who later on these guys became comedians when they broke off, that became famous. And there's I mean, I saw Skip Stevenson was there in the beginning, and Craig T. Nelson. The first television show I ever got in 1977, Sky's the Limit, Craig T. Nelson was the head writer. Really? And I remember I'm at the writer's table for the first time, and I'm in the writer's room. I don't know how a writer's room works. So I'm sitting there with my little notebook, and I'm watching everybody yell and scream, and that ain't funny. I got to, wait a minute, if you put this in, bring that over. Hey, I got one. The guy goes in now, what we do in the sketch? And they're going on. And after about an hour, Craig T. Nelson turns to me and goes, you got anything to say, or you want to go home? I'm like, I got a sketch idea. Okay, what is it, kid? And I go, it's celebrity boxing, where I'm doing Howard Cosell, and you got the people are going to fight each other. They're celebrities. So there's a silence for about 3 seconds, and another writer, John Gibbons, another writer, George Hart, goes, that's a great idea. We don't have to show the celebrities. We'll just do the voices. We'll have boxing gloves on both sides of you, and you could be Howard Go Smell, so we don't get sued. And we did 30 episodes of celebrity boxing. And I got $10 an episode. I got a whole $300 for my work on that show. But it was an experience of experiences, because I was working with people who Mike Binder did the show. Craig Nelson had done it. Who else was on there? Just so many comedians that they just auditioned, and but it was a tax shelter show. They don't do that anymore. The tax shelter shows where lawyers and doctors would get together and put up budgets of their own money for television shows to be produced that would never sell. So every time you go to sell it, you lose and you get a tax break. So anyway, I finally went on to do stand-up in March 15th of '76. And unfortunately, I had a killer set. Worst thing you could do the first time you go on is kill and think you know what you're doing. Because Mitzi made me a regular immediately. Mitzi Shore, rest her soul, the owner of the store. I didn't even know she was the owner. I had no idea who she was. I thought she was a nice lady that took your name, put you on the list, and gave you a drink ticket. I had no idea who she was. I was so dirty. I said, I don't know, what's our language here? Can you say words?
Oh, you can say whatever you want. Yep.
I said motherfucker about 40 times. But the jokes were there. I was getting laughs. I mean, I was caustic, and I was like this angry young kid, but I had more balls than the NBA, I mean, up there. And I came off stage, and I was sweating because but I had I still have it on tape. I had a really, really good set for somebody that had never done stand-up in their life. and Howard Taylor was the MC of Potluck at that time. And Howard Taylor could come to you and tell you, you just won $100 million in the lottery. But the look on his face and the way he'd say it, you would think your parents were killed in a fiery car crash. Because he would come up and say, gee, you just won $100 million. So that's his demeanor. That's how he always was. He was always this sad-looking guy. So he comes over to me after I'm done, and I was sitting next to the actor, Leo Rossi, who's been in a lot of films, and he was also had gone up and done some stand-up. And I came back, and we'd been talking. He was from Philly. I'm from Jersey. We were sitting there nervous before we went on, and we were talking. And I came off, and I went, boy, they're going to throw me out of here. He goes, yeah, that was kind of dirty, but it was funny. But I said, yeah, they're not going to let me back here. And here comes Howard. He says, the owner wants to speak to you. And I looked at Leo, and I went, well, nice meeting you. Let me get my coat. I'm done. And I walk over, and I sit down, and I go, oh, you're the owner. I didn't know. She goes, yeah, I'm Mitzi. I said, oh, that's my sister's name. I blurted that out. She went, oh, that's nice. So how long are you doing stand-up? And I couldn't lie. I just said, that's the first time I've ever been on. And you could hear her voice over the crowd. She went, oh, my God, you were wonderful. Oh, you have to go to Westwood. You got to call in for spots. You have to be working. So for the first 6 months, I was getting spots. I'm going on. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm bombing 98% of the time. And then she stopped giving me spots because, I mean, you don't want to ruin an audience. I would be okay when I emceed. The funny thing was I could MC a show. I had no experience, but I watched all the really great MCs that were there. And we're talking Dave Letterman was a great MC, Argus Hamilton, George Hirschman. The MCs were just, they really kept the show going. So I emulated that, but I couldn't do an act. I didn't really know what I was doing. So that's when a guy named Danny Mora, I started taking his workshop, and Danny has been coaching stand-ups and actors now. He's a really good actor himself, but he's been coaching the guys that get a sitcom. They need they want to be coached so they can, and they go to him because he's really one of the best. And I started studying with him, doing his improv classes and that, and I still had a thick head, and it took me at least another year till I knew what I was. The whole year of 1977, I spent trying and failing. It probably was the best thing that happened because I quit stand-up. I thought